Welcome back to the Blackberry View. Blackberries, how y'all feeling?
We here. We here. We back. We black. We bold. We beautiful.
So, we are so excited to be able to be back with you all today. Tonight, our topic is about queer representation in the media and within our own lives. So, let's just dive right into it. So, Harold, what you got for us on this daily squeeze, child?
Ooh, so let me get a big cup for this daily squeeze, okay? So, if you are not familiar, a new show has hit the TV screen. Coming to your local network, the Zeus Network, a black-owned network, which we're gonna get into that in a second. You may have heard of the Bad Boys Club. So, right. Literally, that's literally the whole point of the show, beginning, middle, end. Bop. But actually, so for those who know, and y'all probably know, y'all familiar with Bad Girls Club, and that was actually a hit. Right. In terms of the reception at that time when it came out, and also just how it really kind of showcased the chaos, I guess you could that was between these women living under all one roof, who also were self-proclaimed bad girls. Well, none of them did this, but focus on the guys.
So it's just
a guy version of Bad Girls Club, and so it's Bad Boys Club, and some people on there who you may or may not know. There's no shade. It's just, again, the girls be out in the interwebs. But Milan Christopher, which you may know from Love and Hip Hop.
Is he really on there?
He's on there, and so he was on Love and Hip Hop. I think LA or Atlanta is one of the iterations where he was, dating a guy who was at the time still trying to figure sexuality out, but that same guy now is married to a woman who they're on now on the marriage boot camp. That's a whole other thing. We're gonna put a pin in that. Neither here nor there. Jonathan Wright, also known as Jonathan. You may have met and been introduced to Jonathan via his work as a hairstylist, particularly for Megan Thee Stallion and other notable celebrities. And then, of course, most recently, and I think talking about some of our area episodes, Kerion Franklin, who is the son of Kurt Franklin, who actually came out on the show as bisexual. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like one of the first episodes. And then, so all the guys on there are queer, with the exception of two. And they kind of give queer adjacent, but we're gonna put a pin in that. Long story short, the founder Lemuel Plummer is also the founder of the Zeus Network. If you're not familiar with Zeus, look it up. He's getting a lot of criticism because all his shows, for lack of better words, from the people, and that's not from me. I just report the news. I don't make it, but it's kind of trashy, right? It's all trash reality TV. All the girls do on there is argue and fight, right? Now, mind you, also on the Zeus Network, he has Jocelyn's Cabaret. And, again, the word on the street is the girls ain't dancing. It's just Jocelyn beating bitches down. So I just, I want to ask y'all, when it comes to the Bad Boys Club, one, do you see yourself as a bad boy? And two, do you think Bad Boys Club is going to do damage to our community?
Q, you want to go first? Do you see yourself as a bad boy? And do you think it's going to do damage to the community? We already know the answer to this, y'all, but we just want him to humor us.
Honestly, I don't see myself as a bad boy.
Shocker.
I don't know.
Wait.
I think you run with scissors.
But I have tendencies, and I have my ways sometimes, especially when I drink. So that's why I don't drink that much anyway. So, but when I do, it gets a little crazy.
Bad bitch entered the chat.
Yeah. Hey. That's what it does. But as far as this show, I don't think it's gonna do any more damage than what's already been done. There's so many other trash TV shows. So what's another one that's gonna make or break our community? Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but I'm not saying that it's nothing new under the sun. So it's pretty much the same type of shows we've been seeing.
Well, so I have been known to be with that rah-rah shit. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm with that rah-rah shit. So I think that I can be a bad boy, especially when I got that other one that looked like me. Baby, you get the Shirley Twins together, baby, we get amplified and we get hyped up. However, in my older age, I have learned to kind of quell that altered beast inside of me. English major, baby. However, if you want to act funny, we can act hilarious.
Right.
And so I think that it's in me in terms of whether the show will diminish the identity or the credibility of the culture of the community. To Q's point, there's a lot of trash TV out there anyway, and there's trash TV for everyone. Yeah. You know, you got what's that, Vanderpump Rules for the white folks. Yeah. I mean, you got the Kardashians. You got them Kardashians.
A walking mystery.
You know, you
Real Housewives.
You got the Real Housewives. We've got all of these shows, and so I think that for now, I don't even think that it's tearing down the culture. I think it's really showing the true aspects of the things that humanity sensationalizes.
Yeah.
We sensationalize drama and fighting and like, you tell that bitch I'm outside and I'm gonna run up on that bitch. Girl, what?
Well, and then they showed the real of, like, I mean, as bad as it may sound, they showed the real of our lives. Like, we're multifaceted types of people. So we have trashy moments, we have, upstanding moments, and this is just putting a magnifying glass on the trash.
Intersectionality.
Yes.
Intersectionality matters.
Yes. It matters. Also, and I think I struggle with these shows because we are multifaceted. We can give you, hello, nice to meet you, like very.
We can give you Cosby Show,
right? Yeah. Or we can give you like, bitch, run them hands. And I think it's important to show the range for one, right? Range is important.
Right. The girls gotta have range.
And my issue is, I don't think Bad Boys Club shows the range, and it just hasn't given that. I think back to a time when reality television was new to television, and like I used the example earlier, we were talking about earlier. We're real world.
Shout out to
real world road rules. Like, these people were in tight spaces. Granted, it wasn't like everybody wasn't all queer, but there was some queer representation here and there. But it was a diverse group of people, and you lived with each other. You knew they was gonna get into some mess and some drama. You knew there was gonna be some tension flaring up. But they also took them and said, "Hey, let's put you into the community." Same thing with College Hill.
I was just about to say
College Hill. Like, again, I think that showed the range of black folk. These are college educated folk. And College Hill, baby, used to gag me because the way that thing would have me cracked up, in particularly certain seasons, and you know what seasons I'm talking about. But it had range, and so I just feel like it lacks the range. Also, none against Jocelyn Cabaret, but I just didn't see Sis on no TV show outside of Love and Hip Hop to begin with in the first place.
So my caveat to that is, range is subjective, and who are we to dictate whose range is what?
That's true.
College Hill wasn't my thing. I had been out of college, I think, at that time. Like, I was a young adult, but I feel like College Hill gave certain things to certain members of the community. Real World, I was too young for Real World, but I respected that because I thought that was what I was going to aspire to be. So when I think about the range, I mean, there may be people whose range is like, all right, I get up, I go kick it, I may go to the club and fight a couple motherfuckers.
I fight.
I smoke, I drink, I fight, and then I go back home and I get into bed. But to your point, Harold, I think it does speak to just one aspect of the range that we need to showcase within our communities.
I don't know if I consider myself a bad boy. I say I got bad boy tendencies. Like, I cannot give a fuck real quick with a motherfucker.
You also from Oak Cliff.
So it's in my DNA.
I also think we all have some forms of bad boy in us, like some more than others, but I think all of us, we possess a little bit of the bad boy. It may come out in different ways. Like, I know for me, I'm that quiet bad. Like, I'm not the boisterous, like, in your face.
You sneaky.
Yeah, exactly.
You are sneaky. We're telling you. That's a declarative statement.
It's giving scammy. It's giving Joanne a scammer.
It's giving. That's what it's giving us.
Yeah, I mean, and
we look up, we got a camera in our face from Q.
I accept that, but like, that's to my point. Like, I'm not that. What's up, nigga? Like, all of you. Like,
that didn't even sound right.
But that goes to show you. See, exactly. Like, I can't do that. That's just not me. So
I think you can scam I think you could be a bad boy that scams. You give very good scamming energy
give
because you
Joey
have
energy.
this very jovial personality, and you're like, okay, like you just sign here. It'll be a small down payment, and we'll get you and for only a one-time fee every month for $99.99
This gonna
for
be
6
cute.
months.
This gonna be cute. You gonna be like, well now, baby, your son here, you can get for just $9.99.
Right.
So you gonna sign, sugar?
Yes.
We
Zach,
can't leave 'cause
Zach,
know
you
how
give
to
me intellectual bad boy. Like you
Oh,
the one who
yes.
will intentionally
Yes.
study for the test and then give a motherfucker the wrong answers if he cross you over.
Very calculated.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
What type of bad boy do I give?
You very much like, I feel like your bad boy like boils like a volcano. And like you'll step closer and closer and closer to a person until you pop off and then you explode.
That
And then
sounds
by then
right.
it's too late.
And the thing with you, I think you give like warning signals. Like it's like, okay, now is this where you want to go? This what you want to do?
Bitch yellow zone, bitch orange zone,
There's a line.
You sure?
bitch red zone, bitch dead.
Right. Absolutely.
And you walk away and you be like, I tried to tell him.
I tried to tell him.
I tried to
I have nothing else to give.
I have nothing else to give.
Good night. Fatality.
That's it. It's done. It's a wrap.
So, I mean, I think that being a bad boy, though, I mean, there are instances where in life we do have those nuances that brings that out of us. And so I'm also thinking about the fact that it is reality TV and what are the things that we're not seeing. You know, again, as I talked about earlier, we are in a very sensationalized culture. And being in a sensationalized culture, we want to see the juiciest, most raunchy stuff right now.
If you ain't yelling, they ain't selling.
Right.
Well, and I was just about to say that's what sells, and that's at the end of the day, these production companies and they're all they're thinking about like how can we make money off of like this content, and so of course they're gonna throw it out there because they know the masses we're gonna eat it up because we like to see other people in some ways, in less unfortunate. I mean, in unfortunate.
You call this the cast less fortunate? I hope this gets
But hey, in some ways they are fortunate because they're getting paid too. I mean, I wish I could get that check to be trashy too.
But to Q's point, I do think that when we watch these shows, it represents something in us. Like we don't act like this, so we're getting an opportunity to see people who act like this, and we can be like, "Bitch, did you see that?"
live vicariously.
We live vicariously through them. I would never, however, I'm clocked in every week.
Well, and then sometimes you kind of feel better about yourself. It's like, I'm glad I'm not in this situation like old dude. I mean, I have thought that way sometimes, full transparency. I have been like,
Are you glad you not the dude getting his ass beat, or you just glad? Are you glad you're not the dude doing the beating?
it's like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not in that situation. But I also was like that in high school. Fights would break out all the time. I like to watch the fight. I don't want to be in the fight, but I sure be looking, trying to break through the crowd.
Like, oh, they over there fighting.
They show, listen, and would have my Fruitopia in my hand, just drinking, watching the fight.
Real quick, would y'all date a bad boy? Do y'all still got bad boy like?
So and here
I would not.
Harold, you know,
It's not-
I've dated a bad boy.
It's not credible. I'm not doing it. It's not
Harold
credible.
knows. He's been with me when I was in a 7-year relationship with a bad boy, and that rose my level of toxicity up to the nth degree. He definitely was a bad boy, straight out of Southern Louisiana, baby. 7 years, baby. And we would talk to each other all the time, be like, "I'm gonna beat your ass, no motherfucker, I'm gonna beat your ass," and it'd be the last ass that you beat,
You know what? To
motherfucker.
be fair, I've had my engagement with my bad boy. But see, the reason why it's not credible is because bad boys, they come with so much stress,
They come with so much
unnecessary stress. And when I was in high school, I was ready to be a trap king. I was ready to be in the passenger seat, baby. I already had my excuses ready. If the police pulled up, where's the dope? I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Where's-
I'm going to math class. I'm getting dropped off.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on.
I'm his tutor.
Don't rat me out. I'm not gonna rat you out, baby. And I'm gonna come put money in your books.
Right.
Like I had it thought
Your
out.
lunch money on his books.
What? Trapping out the band though. What the fuck you talking about? Yes.
So this has been obviously a very awesome first segment to an interesting conversation. So we're gonna close out and jump into Q's segment, right after these messages. So Blackberries, don't go anywhere. Come back.
What's up? Tune in into the Blackberry View to get hits and topics like this. We are at Yoga-ish DFW, your personalized workout that meets you where the fuck that you are. We got the fellas out here. They working. We working. Get big. Hot boy summer. Let's go. Yeah. 8, push, 9, 10, 11, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I'm not gonna give up on you. We're going to the final one, okay? Keep it up.
Welcome back, Blackberry View. And so we have finished our daily squeeze and we've gotten the squeeze into the glass, but now we're finna figure out what's the juice, Q? What is the flavor of this juice?
Well, to dig a little deeper in queer representation in media, let's talk about dating as it pertains to media. So, you know, dating is already hard, right?
Did we already talk about this?
This my segment. You know I don't go on the squeeze.
Yeah, you know what? Because my squeeze is always fresh.
Now Blackberries.
Blackberries, like I said, dating in social media, and it's already hard as fuck. So dating in social media.
So when Q said he ain't no bad boy, this that bad boy coming out.
You gotta push it a little bit.
You gotta push it.
So, now listen, you know I like to be touched and caressed. So question for y'all. How does social media play a part in whether you are out or not in your relationship?
I used to have this mentality that I wanted to be like out loud, like all of that with my relationship in my 20s and my 30s. But now that I'm 41, I realize things are not always for public consumption. And I'm okay with that. Like, you don't have to know what's going on in the nuances of my relationship and who I'm dating, who I'm with, what we doing, because it's really nobody else's business.
So are you saying that you would never, now where you are in your life, you would never like post anything about you in your relationship? Say you got proposed to, you know, y'all are engaged, or like if you got married, like those monumental types of moments, or you smiling like, no, bitch, I ain't doing it.
So I say that because so Harold and I have a mutual friend, and we didn't know who she was with for the longest. She would post his head, she would post his foot, but we would never know who
But
she
here's
was
the
with.
gag though. I learned. I was gonna say that for my answer too. Sis taught me a lesson. She knows she always post. It'll be an ear. It'll be some random piece like somebody's son.
Somebody's
out
son.
on the beach, but
Somebody's son.
But you just see a shoulder.
And
I'm getting some pizza, or somebody so you just see a knuckle, a moisturized knuckle. And I be
Right.
like, who is somebody's son?
and then when they got married, we got to see the whole man.
Oh man.
And so she is really a great example of probably what I would do.
I'm gonna do this shit.
Because
Get somebody's son so I can get somebody's
right
ring.
until I get somebody's ring. And so for me, it's now about it's about not thinking again that everything is for public consumption. It's not everybody's business. But for me, it's also about the fact of I gotta make sure that this legit for me, you know. And so I know that we joke and play about, all right, girl, don't be trying to hide your relationship. I'm on season 5 of your bullshit, girl. So episode 3. However, I'm also at that point now where I'm like, you know, when it gets to that point, it'll get to that point for me.
So for me, like again, similar to Zach, I enjoy. What do I enjoy? I enjoy the power of being able to control the narrative, being able to control people's insight into my life, Well, I think when I think about social media, one, I want my partner to be publicly in love with me, so that even long before social media is a thing, it's understood when we go to different spaces what it is and what it ain't. But then when we get to the point of social media, I want to tease the folk. You know what I'm saying? Also, here's the thing: if I tease you with somebody's son for 3 years, I could have switched out somebody's son by 4 different times. And so that knuckle that you saw the first time I posted somebody's son could be a new knuckle. And so you worried about the last knuckle you saw. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember you posted
Or
that
you
knuckle.
on 2 knuckles ago.
You 2 knuckles though, baby. Catch up. We on a new knuckle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's important to do that and also keep a mystery involved. You know, I think that people really sleep on mystery and people sleep on the idea of like keeping stuff kind of private. It doesn't mean you're a secret, but you keep stuff to yourself.
Right.
And that way, to your point you just made, if it flies or if it fails, I get to enjoy that and I get to bring people in with me as I so choose. I get to, keep that L to my face, to myself, and my face don't get cracked.
It ain't a secret. It just ain't none of your business.
See, that's how I feel too. Like, younger me, and I can't really say this because I've only been in 2 relationships, but younger me would have been like, I want to blast it for everybody to see. I want y'all to like know I'm in a relationship. But now, right. But where I'm at now, I don't like everybody in my business. Now, having said that, I may every now and then, I may sprinkle a picture. I may drop, and I never caption anything saying, "Ooh, I'm with bae." It's like I drop, and you make your own conclusion.
But bitch, you can't tell us, bitch. We on the same BlackBerry view
But y'all,
still.
but y'all real smart. Like y'all caught that like real.
Well, bitch, what if I'm dumb?
Well, first of all, it was a Sunday situation, right? Because nobody really takes pictures of people on Sunday outside of 3 reasons: church, graduation, and that's your boo, right? And so it was normal Sunday. They went at church. We know that because he heathen. It wasn't no graduation because it's February, right? So the only other option it could be was to be somebody's boo. To which, and I'm petty, I'm childish. I saw the man in person. I was like, hey, how you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. Off the interweb.
Leaned up all in his shit.
But saying that to say, I don't think that, I do have those friends. I have friends that like, soon as they first start talking to somebody, 2 weeks in, it's like, oh, I'm with bae, and I'm like, damn, you don't even know that person's last name yet. Y'all.
Well, that's a problem in and of itself.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been in person. I've been in person. I've had bae 72 hours or less. Baby, you trying to play my wedding. Don't judge me, y'all.
I'm up
Life
here
is
making these
hard.
eggs for bae
I'm fighting for my life
every day.
I just feel, and then I know some people, they've posted, who they just got engaged to, and then like months later they're not engaged anymore, and then fast forward and then they're engaged to somebody else, and I'm just like, that's a lot going on. I'm like, that's why I say keep a lot of that to yourself, and if you just want other folks to know, tell your groups of friends, your little community outside of social media. So that's kind of my take around it.
He sure ain't tell us, child. We had to find out.
On the book of face.
It's like I want y'all to do a little work, figure it out, investigate.
Bitch, ain't nobody about to sit here and be private eyed.
Bitch, this ain't
Look,
motherfucking.
but
This
y'all,
ain't Dora the Explorer.
But y'all figured it out though. Y'all did.
This ain't fucking Dora the Explorer, bitch.
Fucking Ghost Rider.
Listen, you're gonna explore in
Back,
life
where
of
was
Q,
the
honey.
receipts?
Yeah. So,
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Q with this man?
Right.
but okay, let's pivot a little bit. So this is something, and right, that I've kind of like. I think it's a good topic to talk about. So, have you ever been in a situation where you have dated someone that is closeted and you're on the outs?
Yeah, when I was in the motherfucking closet too. Once I came out, bitch, I left all them niggas behind.
Did you really?
Yeah, you get to a point as I become more comfortable in my own identity. I respect people's journey because I have my own journey to get comfortable with myself. I also recognize at the same time, because I'm very out and very much, okay with that. Like I live a life where nobody gives me flack or heat about that, whatever, right? I want to be able to take you into those spaces and share you with people close to me. Well, if I can do it because you so, iffy because you don't want to be found out, baby, you can leave that. That's a whole nother emotional, mental journey that I just can't take on behalf of somebody else. If for myself, I took it because it was necessary, but I can't do that for you. Now, I will say, this is my disclaimer, if you are at a point where you are out, but maybe you haven't told certain people in your life, I can understand, like, maybe if you're a PK, a preacher's kid, and you have, your mom and daddy are, the first, the pastor and the first lady at some mega church in the city. I get that. That can be kind of right, but I do know, and I do know, I should see signs that, like, one day we were progressing towards, like, baby, I don't care if it's on the altar doing communion. I'm gonna walk up in there with my man holding your hand. We gonna receive Christ together. Well, not for being gay, but just because life is hard. But you know what I mean? Like that's how I think. I can't do that no more.
In my life, I'm sitting here thinking I have dated 4 men who were either not completely out or were out but not out to their families. I dated I'm lying. 5. Now that I think back, 1, he wasn't out at all, and I was pretty much out. The second one, I was his first.
Oh, that's heavy.
And I was the first guy he had ever been with, and he came from a very religious family. So there was that. I dated the 7-year relationship. He was out to like certain people in his friend circle, but he wasn't out to his family. And again, together for 7 years, like fighting for my life in all aspects of that. I dated someone who I was also his first, and like first period, he hadn't had sex with a woman or a man.
Oh, wow.
And he was in his late 20s.
You find these first.
I find these first. Listen, I'm the gay nigga that the trade fuck with heavy. Fuck with me. And so helping him navigate through that of not only what does sex look like, what does gay sex look like. And I've dated someone, again, who's out to friends across the board, but not out to his family. And I'm a very out person. My family knows, my friends know I'm out at work. Babe, I'm out everywhere. And so I never took it upon myself, though, to like try to pressure those individuals, because I remember what my journey was like in trying to come out. And actually, a lot of people don't know this story, but to our family, I'm the one that pulled my brother and I out of the closet. Wow. Because it was Christmas Eve one year, and I forget what year it was, but I was about to go out, and I left Adam for Adam up on the computer while I was still living in my parents' house. For those of y'all who don't know,
that was
Adam for Adam
You
was.
should have been on BGC.
Baby, I should have been on BGC. But
that was my app too.
Right, but I left the computer up on the website on the
Hold
time.
on,
I was
just
so
wanna say
careless.
That's you just dated yourself. Like we
I
all
did.
just dated ourselves when we talk about BGC. A for A. The girls don't know.
The girls don't know.
You got to be a certain season gay.
Season.
Because that was actually still on the computers. We didn't have the app.
There was no app on your phone or your iPad. You had to log onto a computer.
Sit in somebody's back, click, click.
Click, click, clack, baby. Click, click, clack. They didn't have wireless mouses and keyboards back then.
Ooh, baby,
when
mouse
I
on
was
wire.
on that.
Never.
But I left it up, and my little sister saw the website. And so that's how I ended up outing my brother and I, because
so sloppy,
I was so sloppy. I was careless back then. Hey kids, listen, zoom in on auntie. Don't be careless.
Delete your history.
Delete your history. All right. But once that happened, I was like, okay, well, I'm out. Like my family knows I'm out. And so I didn't ever want to, though, put anyone else through that. And so these 5 guys, all varying ranges of outness or being out, I didn't take it upon myself to do that with them.
That's true.
Now, what was that? How was that experience for you? Like, did it? I mean, you mentioned you was in one for 7 years. Like, did it take its toll on you to where you just was like, okay, you got to make a move. Like, you got to. I can't stay in a situation where I want to, I live out and live free, and then you're still like holding me. You're still not moving in a forward motion as it pertains to like your journey. Like, did it take its toll on you?
It took its toll on me, but we actually ended it. It was 2 weeks away from me moving to Cincinnati, so it was 2017. And it actually wasn't the fact that he wasn't out. It was the fact that at that point in time, he was not willing to make the same sacrifices for the relationship. And part of that could have been him being out and living his truth. And so at that point in time, I was like, all right, well, you could have made me stay here and we could have made it work, but I'm about to move and go to this new state, new place, new job. And for me, it was bittersweet in the fact that I was closing the door on this relationship, and Harold knows about this relationship very intimately and the things that it used to take me through. But also it was a point of where I was like, all right, it's time for me to walk through another door. And it's without this person who I thought I was going to be with, who I pined after to like make our relationship public on social media and public with all of these people. And I think going through that experience, I was like, you know what? This shit really ain't important. Like this social media aspect, it's really not important, because when you share it, it's out there and people are gonna make their own assumptions, and then that's when the vultures come. And if you don't share it, people are gonna make their own assumptions. And so why not protect the peace and sanctitude of my relationship versus putting it out there? That's not your tips and dip though. I got another tips and dip for y'all. But versus putting it out there and letting other people be the narrators of your story. Baby, it's all about having a biography or autobiography. I'm not about to let people write their version of my story and create a biography. I'm gonna make my autobiography, and it's going to be penned by me, authored by me, bounded and booked by me.
What's the song? The page is still unwritten.
The page is still unwritten.
I would say this. It affected. So I did the one guy I dated. Yeah, the one guy. What's the dark place? The one guy that I did date. It was in college, and it was rough because I was okay, like keeping it, keeping it cute, keeping it mute, keeping it on the low. But I had friends at that time who I only really had like one friend, maybe two in a possible, but who actually knew about me. Not including Zach. Zach was my
Baby, I knew my child was gay the minute I walked on campus. He didn't know, but I knew. I said, "Child, I'll be here when you ready."
Look, I'll be waiting that party.
That party.
But what ended up happening, it really stifled our emotional connection, because I'll be in my apartment and he'll come over and we'll be on the couch and I'll be laying my head on his lap, watching TV, just chilling and talking. And he'll jump up because next door, a friend of mine stayed next door, like in an apartment next door. So, crosswinds.
I know her well.
And so the apartments are only 2 stories high, and there's only one, like they're in quads, like one apartment here, one apartment here. And he would see her come up, and he'll jump up. Mind you, the blinds closed, but he got anxious that people were gonna somehow, some way, bust in and almost discover that he's gay. And it was really a struggle on our relationship, because I told him, quite honestly, I said, I can handle kind of being on the low, but I need affection, and it really prohibited him from showing affection.
Even in those closeted or intimate settings.
Yes, like even in the bedroom, he did not want to cuddle. Like he would cuddle to an extent, but like it could be the slightest thing. It could be a tap on the window. Like he was very anxious. A lot of anxiety around being almost exposed and outed. And he used to question me all the time, like, does your friend know about us? I'm like, no, I haven't told anybody. One friend I did say, but that was my good Judy. That's my dog. He know who he is too. But you know, even then, my friend told me actually for that reason, because he wasn't in that space of life, that I should cut ties with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I think for me, it's very new. It's very nuanced. I came out, compared to a lot of my friends, I came out really late. Well, officially late. My mom found out. I kind of had a similar story like you. Like, I had some porn and I forgot to like delete the history and all that. Baby, them pop-ups came up and then
That's totally careful.
baby, I was not careful. And she was like, what the? So that was my official with my mom coming
Come on,
out.
bitch.
Yeah.
A fish.
Maybe it wasn't no fish on that thing, no man. But
Ain't no fish on the menu for Q.
they were sausage, summer sausage. But
Where's the beef? Hey Arby's, holla at us.
but it took a while for me to come out to my friends. So I did have that, you know, those closeted dating experiences. And I'll never forget, I was talking to one dude. He lived in Houston. I was in Beaumont. And he would like come and like he would drive down to Beaumont to come see me like every weekend. And he would get a hotel and he would like, he liked me so much that he would just go out of his way to. And it kind of made me uncomfortable at the time because I was like, damn, like, and then you want to go out in public. And then if you know Beaumont is like that small. So everybody pretty much know everybody. So he always wanted to be like, hey, let's go out to eat and let's do that. And I'm like, you know, let's just stay in this hotel. I don't want to go out, you know. But those moments, it got to a point where I was like, I can't do this because like you're gonna out me to like everybody and I'm not ready or whatever. And he wasn't ready to accept it and it just kind of like fizzled after that.
Can I ask you a question? And this is a question for both of us, for all of us. Do you think that he would have been justified to out you? And is there ever justification to out somebody?
There's never justification
It's
out.
never-
There's
no.
never justification.
No.
Because I've been in that situation too, where one of my closest friends at the time was so excited that I came out to him. He just wanted to blast it to all of my classmates, and this is during college. Wanted to blast it to all my classmates, and he like outed me to all of my colleagues, friends in school, and I could never like. I had a whole blowout moment. Talk about a bitch fit. Like I just had a moment, and so I don't think it's ever warranted for you to like just come out and out anyone. As much as you would want that person to be out, I don't think you should ever rob that person of their story.
Yeah, so I brought this up because there's been a lot in the news. There's been a story recently that came out, or that allegedly that this trans woman, I forgot her name, outed Benzino from Love and Hip Hop. And you know, to me, I don't know if it's true or not. I cannot get into details, but I say this, like, I just think when people out people, it sets us back as a community. And particularly for our trans sisters, maybe unpopular opinion, our trans sisters knowing all the vitriol and hate that they face, I just think that when they do that and it's not, when they do it, I think there are people who love trans folk who feel more in what's the word? More forced, right? More willing to then remain in the closet about their attraction and love for trans people, for people with trans experience. On the other end as well, I think it creates more reasons for, and I hate to say it like that, it creates more reasons for people to do harm to trans women. And it's not justified, I'm not justifying that, but I just think it's important to recognize that, like, sometimes I think outing goes too far. And I think sometimes we gotta recognize that, like, if you are not with a person that wants to genuinely be with you in front and behind closed doors, then you may need to reconsider being with that person, because you can't force that person to be, you know, to be out and to you know, meet you where you're at. Because I just think it does more harm than good. I don't think it's justifiable. And the trans girls I see, they say like, you know, I want to be loved in public. And I think there are people out there that will love cis in public. But some of these celebrities are not gonna do that because, you know, we just know how our world is set up, and we know what comes with that. Like, oh boy, what's his name from NY? Malik Yoba.
Malik Yoba.
Yeah.
So that can be another topic or another show. But we got to take this break Blackberries. We'll be right back with y'all with Why Those Feelings. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Blackberries. And so, obviously, I'm in mourning because our next segment is Why Those Feelings, and Chris is not here to give that segment, so I'm gonna try and do it justice. So, why those feelings? So, the question I want to pose to y'all is, why do we think that media and social media has that presence that it does to either be validating or so important to our relationships? Like, why do we think that social media presence is so validating for us?
I think people receive a sense of satisfaction when they see other people have things that they also have as well. It's like I don't want to say it's trendy, but it's kind of like, you know, when you see people with the iPhone that you have, it makes you feel like you made a good choice, right? And I think about, in terms of relationships, right? Posting a person, because right when we post the babe, boo, whoever on our social media, that's our signal to the world to say, hey, I made a good choice, and this is my partner, and I'm gonna stick beside him, and you should go get you one too, right? You should go to aisle 13 at Walmart and pick one up. There's never aisle 13 with them on there, just FYI, I've checked. But you know, and so then you feel the pressure like, well, I need to share my good thing with the world too. Yeah. And again, it makes it feel a sense of validation. And I'll be honest with you, quite honestly, sometimes I feel like there are people who base their relationships off the validation of other people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Saying that, like, you know, when people can say, oh my God, you're a cute couple, I think for some people validates people's that part of them that wants to be appreciated and praised for how well they look together, right? There are people who date people based off aesthetics and how well do your cheekbone complement my cheekbone, or your hair texture complement my hair texture. That's the thing. I think people base it off of status, right? Because if you're posting a famous person or a person who, you know, seemingly has, you know, some type of financial or notoriety, financial status or notoriety, then it becomes one of those situations where, like, oh my God, you dating this person, and like you're in a relationship with this, you know, notable person. And so I think people want that. I think it puts pressure on people to want a sense of satisfaction from everybody else instead of themselves just being content with being satisfied.
I think social media just magnifies what we already experience in real life. Meaning, like, we already, in our social settings, we already see, you know, oh, you dating such and such, oh, you had these new shoes, or you had these new clothes, but it's magnified to like the masses. So you're not only experiencing these things in your own communities, but then you're experiencing it on like a large platform where you see countless people going through the same thing, and everybody's trying to one up the next person on, oh, you got this relationship, oh bitch, I got this relationship too. How long you been in this relationship? Oh, I've been in this one longer than you have. Oh, you know, so I think it just magnifies what we already go through. And so that's where I think it also magnifies the mental health issues, which we'll have an episode on mental health later. But, right, that was nice, right? My first plug.
You better diversify your skills.
But that's what I think social media does. It really magnifies what we experience right now socially, just in our own communities.
So, yes, all of that. This is going to probably bleed into tips and dip, but I'm going to try to not allow it to bleed into tips and dip. But I think that bleed. But I do think that, we have this, we said it earlier, right? Like this mentality of I need to be loved and to want to be loved and deserve to be loved out loud. And yes, we do need, a lot of us need that. I'm not going to say all of us because that's subjective. We deserve it. However, I think back to like the series finale of Insecure.
I'm trying to remember.
And okay, so do y'all remember? I think it was season 3, maybe even season 2, when Lawrence and Issa had finally they broke up because she found out about Daniel, and then he came back. They had sex on the couch. No, actually, it wasn't that episode. It was the episode where they were standing in the kitchen, and that very palpable episode where they were standing at a distance apart and saying that goodbye for then. And she had that flash forward of when they were married, when she was pregnant, when she had kids. And then the series finale where they were together. And there was a child, but it wasn't her child, but it was still there was still that imagery of that future that I think that they planned, that she had in her head, but it was just different. So I say that to say, when we talk about being loved out loud, it may look different than social media. You can love me out loud by the way that you hold me, the way that you grab me and pull me into you when we walking down the street.
Grab me, pull me in.
The way that you nurture me by cooking a meal for me. Loving me out loud doesn't have to be pictures and images.
I think it's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, loving me out loud doesn't have to be pictures and images on social media. It can be the time that we spend together. Now, don't fucking play me and be out here making me look like a fool in the streets. Right. Those are other nuances. But I think that we have to broaden our perspectives on what loving out loud looks like.
I think loving out loud, to me, it means being intentional. So, and the intent behind your love for me, or so it does. To your point, it doesn't necessarily mean we need to blast it on social media, but I want to know that you desire me, that you are in it with me, and that could read as being, affectionate. And then it also kind of bleeds into, what's your love language. Like my love language is quality time. I like to spend time with the person that I'm with, or words of affirmation, I like to be laid up, and cuddled up. So just going off of what you said, I think it's the intent.
One thing I'll say, I think for hot take, this is an opposing opinion. I also think that people get comfortable. People think people love to be in, contrary to popular, I ain't say all people. Some people love to be in committed relationship with a person. And when they think if me and Zach are dating, and I think me and Zach gonna be locked in for life, then I feel compelled to share you, not even for validation, but because hey, this is my forever. Right. This is my forever thing. But then Zach show his ass, or hot take, I show my ass, we split, and now I'm put us out there as this power couple, and now you don't see us no more. And I think, and so I also want to honor the people. Sometimes be thinking man, I got it right, until you recognize you got it wrong, and then you got to go back.
And so, I was toying back and forth with sharing this excerpt from Toni Morrison and Why Those Feelings, or Tips and Dip, but I think the tips and dip that I already have is gonna be appropriate. But in the last couple of minutes of this segment, I want to take the pleasure, if you all will indulge me, to like share this with our fellow Blackberries. So this is talking about, you know, the I think because there's an ownership that we feel like we have over a person. Like Harold, the point you made about, I'm gonna show you what I got, and you need to go out and get you what I got. But also, we don't think about the fact that we create this ownership with people. So Toni Morrison said this, and I live by this to this day. You think because he doesn't love you that you are worthless. You think that because he doesn't want you anymore that he is right. That his judgment and opinion of you are correct. If he throws you out, then you are garbage. You think that he belongs to you because you want to belong to him. Don't. That's a bad word. Belong. Especially when you put it with somebody you love. Love shouldn't be like that. Did you ever see the way the clouds love a mountain? They circle all around it, and sometimes you can't even see the mountain for the clouds. But you know what? You go up top, and what do you see? His head. The clouds never cover his head. His head pokes through because the clouds they do not wrap him up. They let him keep his head high, his head free, with nothing to hide or bind him. You can't own a human being. You can't lose what you don't own. Suppose you did own him. Could you really love somebody who was nobody without you? You really want somebody like that, somebody who falls apart when you walk out of the door. You don't, do you? And neither does he. You're turning over your whole life to him or to them. Your whole life. And if it means so little to you that you can just give it away, hand it to him, then why should it mean any more to him? He can't value more than you value yourself. And so with that, we close out this segment of Why Those Feelings. And we're going to hop into tips and dip, y'all.
Value yourself, girl.
And with that being said, y'all, now we're about to pivot into our tips and dip. And so this tip and dip is actually one of my favorite quotes from an author and writing teacher, restorative writing teacher, Alexandra L. And she stated, I'm going to read it because I do not want to fuck this up. Lip sync for your life. And don't fuck it up. I'm not afraid of my truth anymore, and I will no longer omit pieces of me to make you comfortable. And so the reason why I utilize this as our tip and dip is because of the fact that we are talking about queer representation in the media. And we've talked about the juxtaposition of whether it's, you know, problematic for the community, toxic, or whether it is a subjective point. And so the reason why I chose that tip and that dip is because I think that we all have that opportunity to make this statement within our own lives of what parts of ourselves are we going to omit and why are we doing it? Are we doing it for the comfort of others? Are we doing it for the fact that we may not be ready? Are we doing it for the fact that, or are we including parts, for the fact of social media gratification? The importance of representation of queerness in the media is extremely strong. And queerness in social media. Look at us as the Blackberry View. We are 5 individuals from different walks of life who come together and have put ourselves out there for people that we care about, for our audience, for you, our fellow Blackberries. And I think that if we omitted pieces of ourselves, there may be individuals in our audience who are watching today who may not have had the opportunity and the courage to see themselves in one of the 5 of us. And so my tip and dip for you today, again, from Alexandra L., is to no longer omit pieces of yourself for the comfort of others.
Amen and amen.
Amen and amen. So as we wrap up, thank you all for sticking with us for this episode of the Blackberry View. We've got some more exciting episodes coming, and so until then, we will see y'all on the Blackberry View.